Hi, I'm Skip from Oklahoma City. Go Thunder.
I'm Ernestine from New York.
And this is Hazel from Burbank, California.
She's from Burbank.
And you are about to enjoy Skip versus Ernestine. This is round 27, brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. We fight, we love, we go places on this show that no other couple would dare to go in public. So buckle up. First question. Call back to last week's hottest topic. Why is Timothee Chalamet with Kylie Jenner?
Oh, here we go.
I don't know. Don't ask me.
This is endless.
Yeah. So the question comes from Luis from San Diego, California. Would you consider Timothee Chalamet and the New York Knicks the East Coast version of Jack Nicholson and the Los Angeles Lakers?
Wow.
I would, and I'm all here for it, says Luis from San Diego. Go.
I think it's a pretty good comparison.
You do?
I mean, he's not Jack Nicholson in the the bigger picture of Jack Nicholson, but it's before he hooked up with Jenner, he was a little bit under the radar as far as he wasn't really in the public eye as
he was
much
a complete
as he was.
unknown.
No, and then he did the Dylan movie that put him on, even though he's done billions of other movies before. But
no, but he was a virtual complete unknown as far as star power went.
Yeah, and he wasn't really out in the social media world as far as everybody's talking about him as much as he is now because of Kardashian connection. But Jack was always a little bit, as big of a star that he is, he was under the radar a little bit as far as he wasn't in magazines and all of the gossip column.
I thought he was everywhere.
Jack Nicholson? I mean, he had a little bit of a low profile as far as he wasn't in the gossip world every day the way that Chalamet is now in the gossip world.
Okay.
But Chalamet has a little bit of a mystique, as Jack Nicholson has a mystique to him. Before Kardashian.
Man.
I don't know.
As you know,
but
I'm the biggest.
I don't even know.
I'm the biggest Jack Nicholson fan.
Maybe I don't know even
my
what I'm
all-time
talking
favorite
about.
movie is Chinatown. And you go back with Nicholson way before I do to Easy Rider and Five Easy Pieces and blah, blah, blah. We can just go on and on. Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to talk about iconic?
I guess he's talking about...
He was a movie star's movie star to me.
I agree with you.
Faye
but I guess
Dunaway.
He's talking about showing up at the game, that all of a sudden now Chalamet is at this game.
This is what offended me. And I know the Knicks are now over and out.
Yeah, sadly.
And quickly forgotten. But
I
became shocked. You're a New Yorker and a New York Knicks fan. You were rooting for the Knicks. I was rooting for the Knicks just because I love the Thunder, and I thought Knicks Thunder would be much more watchable than Pacers Thunder, Indiana, Oklahoma City. But the point is that out of nowhere came Timothee Chalamet. And if he had been by himself in the front row at Knicks games, home and road, I don't think much would have been made of him, but he's sitting with Kylie Jenner, so TV directors are like, show him, show him, show him.
The Wall Street Journal just did a big piece in Sunday's paper about the Knicks and the star power that showed up in the front row. Everyone, besides, of course, Spike, who's always been known.
But for decades...
Chalamet is only getting the attention because he's with the Kardashians.
Thank you. So for decades, the New York Knicks were Spike Lee's joint, right? They were his outfit. They were his squad. He was front and center wearing all of his New York garb.
The way Diane Cannon is to the Lakers.
Yeah, she's not as out front because she sits on the baseline.
She sits on the side, but she still has been there since the 60s.
She's iconic too. I give you that. But out of nowhere, all of a sudden, in one playoff run, Timothee Chalamet usurped the throne of Spike Lee. And then it got to the point where, was it which game was at New York? It's game 5. So game 5 is in New York, and they got to try to force a game 6, which they did. And unfortunately, that was that because they had to go back to Indiana. But game 5 at Pacers, Spike Lee, if memory serves, had to sit on the baseline, and Timothee Chalamet was front and center. I guess he just paid more for the seats or had better ticket brokers or something. I don't know. Maybe the network got them the seats or something because of Kylie Jenner.
Of course.
Because that's more photogenic. That's more captivating than just little Spike.
Well, for the Wall Street Journal to write an article, a feature about, Chalamet and Kardashian.
But the
on the
star
front
power
line.
at Knicks games, it's like Ben Stiller and
Yeah, it's
what's the name,
always the same. Tracy
Morgan, and
It's the usual
okay,
celebs.
except
But
all of a sudden, Timothee Chalamet became, for rival fans, public enemy number one. You know, like everybody was taking shots at Timothee Chalamet.
It's the same. But it's the same thing as, I mean, the Knicks are the Knicks, and I love the Knicks, and I'm a New Yorker. But everyone in the world started to know about the Knicks because of Timothy with Kardashian.
What?
Just like Taylor Swift with what's his name?
Yeah. Travis Kelce of the Kansas City Chiefs.
So, and everybody cared about that team and watching it because what is she going to wear? Who is she going to be with? It became Taylor Swift's team. So it's the same thing as this.
But Jack Nicholson paid his
forget
dues.
The Jack Nicholson, then I don't agree.
All right.
I've changed my
You changed?
stance.
Okay, I talked her out of it.
You talked me out of it. So
okay.
I love Jack too much to put him in the... I love Timothy. He's become a really amazing actor.
He has.
In that Dylan movie, it will blow you away.
He's very good.
So
he's
talented.
Gifted. He's very gifted.
That's why
I give you that.
I can't picture him with her, with all of the Kardashian
I'm
drama
going to give you this.
on.
Timothee Chalamet is more of an artiste. He's more off-Broadway. Nicholson is Broadway.
Again, if you
Nicholson
watch,
is a movie star.
Well, he's a movie star, and hopefully
Or
he will
was.
get to be. Well, he'll always be a movie star.
Yeah.
But hopefully Timothy will get to be that caliber, which he even mentioned when.
But I don't know if
the Golden Globe. I can't remember when he went
I
up
don't know
and
if
he said,
he
"I want to
chooses
be
those
as good."
paths. I think he's going to go more indie type
he
film,
is artsy.
right?
So that brings me back to how is he with her? That's what I can't
which
understand.
brings us to our next
so
question.
I've changed my stance. He's not Jack Nicholson.
This is David from West Palm Beach, big fan of yours.
Yeah, and he runs a very important nonprofit for seniors.
I love West Palm Beach. It's where I started my career, right out of Vanderbilt. David says, I heard your thoughts on Kylie and Timothy. After hearing your discussion, my first thought was, well, at least one of them is not who you thought. Either Timothy is more shallow than you think, or Kylie is deeper than you think. That's deep and good. But with that being said, I'm so tired of the Kardashians also, which is your point. Mm-hmm. So I hear you, Ernestine.
I think that's probably true. I think.
All right. So which is it? Is he more shallow or is she deeper than we suspect?
No, I think that it's the Hollywood game of setting two stars up, so there's double star power. And I buy every magazine, every rag magazine.
I mean, she actually goes and buys the magazine.
Well, I do. I read magazine. Every Wednesday, the magazine.
The actual magazine is in her hand and on her treadmill while she's walking.
Well, I used to have subscriptions. I'm a magazine person my entire life. When you get the subscription, they come later than when they hit the newsstand. So I buy them on the newsstands because I don't want to wait another week. But every
old school
Inquirer, Star, People, Us, you go down the line.
Yep.
The cover is Timothy and Jenner. So it's just to the point of...
Well, then it's shrewd operating.
Oh, it's just publicity. It's a good powerhouse
it's like
of her.
Their camps
her
got
mother,
together and said, let's match make these two and put them at Knicks games.
Her mother is a powerhouse, so she knows. She put them on the map with the reality show, and now it's just one more step. I don't think he's shallow. I think he's very smart. I've seen him in that interview on the CBS Sunday Morning. He's very smart. So I just think it's a
all right.
Hollywood
I think
thing.
David is onto something here, and we do appreciate the question and the insight of this question because it's on point.
Mm-hmm.
I think you could change Timothy's last name spelling to Chalamet, Shallow, May, Chalamet.
No.
He's got a shallow side to him because he's just a guy.
No, I mean, there's not a shallow side. Shallow means stupid to me.
It doesn't mean stupid.
Dumb.
It means he's just a guy. And I think, I've told you before, I think she's sexy. I think she's pretty. I think she's smart. I think she's worldly. I think she's been way around lots of blocks, and I think all of that appeals to him just as a guy. I think he's having great fun with her.
I just read this morning that his past girlfriend, I think it's Eliza Gonzalez, just came out and she said, and she's beautiful, she's an actress, that she's so happy that they're together. She looks at them and they're the perfect couple. So it's not as though he's dated, unattractive women. No. These women are beautiful that he's dating. So it's not. This one just happens to be part of today's explosive social media,
Yeah.
Hollywood world. And
Okay.
it helped put him, listen, I think a lot of people that didn't know about him now know about him because of her.
Okay. I
So
do
it's
think.
broadened their spectrum for both of their careers, right?
Okay. But I do think she's deeper, or maybe translation, smarter than a lot of people
Well, she
give her
runs
credit
a
for.
billions
$1 billion
of dollar
business,
company,
right?
which her mother helped
Okay.
do. But of course, well, then maybe she's a Rhodes Scholar and I didn't know it.
No, but
I don't know.
somehow she's written off as just another bimbo. I don't think she's a bimbo.
No, I don't say she was a bimbo. I just don't see them together, but who's to say? Okay.
Have you
Then they
lost
belong
any
together.
respect for Chalamet?
Yeah.
A little?
I have.
Okay.
I just thought he
I
was
went
very
again.
artsy, independent film, artsy,
Yeah.
cool,
And he's just another guy.
Dylan-esque, and
in
he's
the
just
end.
another guy. So,
Yes. Okay. Which
so I
brings
still
us.
take Jack Nicholson over him.
Okay. Thank you. Which brings us to our third question on this same subject. This is Paula from Alexandria, Virginia. You two have talked a lot about the Kardashians lately,
course,
and I'm
I
here
want
for it.
to. Yeah.
If you needed to, quote unquote, keep one of them around, hypothetical question, which one would you pick? I would pick Kendall. She seems to be the lone sane one, quote unquote, sane.
I think Kendall. Just fix
You
this
would?
pillow. I think Kendall, but I also like. There's a brother, Robert. I think it's Robert. I'm blanking out on his name. Anyway, but when I would watch the reality show when it first came out years ago, before all the plastic surgery, he was pretty sane, and I really liked him. He was the normal one, and they kind of pushed him aside because he was the Marilyn Munster. He was the
Right.
normal one. And
If you know that reference,
yeah,
it's spot on.
yeah, but he was nice, and he didn't get along with the sisters, but then he kind of changed, and he married, is it China Black? He married that rapper. And then it became a whole big thing that he kind of fell down that path, and then they had a kid, and then there was all this drama. So I do like Rob Kardashian,
Yeah.
but I do think I think the Kendall is probably the most normal.
Well, you just schooled me on the Kardashian clan because I've never watched any of their
Oh,
reality
I did when
shows,
they
and I
first
don't
came
follow
out
them,
years
so
ago.
I'm not versed.
No,
I'm not
she's
qualified.
the model.
Okay.
She's very beautiful. Well, she's had a little plastic. Everybody's had plastic surgery, but she still is the most.
Okay,
in
this
my
is just
opinion,
me.
the most beautiful.
If I had to keep one around,
You'd keep
Kim. No, I'd keep Kim.
Kim?
I would keep Kim because, okay, who is the wealthiest of all of them? Who is the most
the
successful?
one with Chalamet.
No, I think.
Yes.
Oh, Kim is.
Without a doubt.
Oh, come on,
No
Kim?
way. No way.
Kim is
no
it.
Way. No.
She's the most famous one.
All right, we're going to have to research this.
Okay, who's the most well-known of the Kardashians?
But that's
it's
because
Kim.
she was the first one. Oh, I'm spitting. She was the first one. Sorry. She was the first one that made, because she had the sex tape that came out, and she was the oldest. But
okay,
but
what I quote unquote love about her is that she has no discernible talent. She can't act that I can see. I think she tries, and it's a bust. No. She definitely can't sing, and usually it's either acting or singing that make you a star.
Right.
Well, she's the biggest star in the family. I think she's the best known. I barely know who, until this happened with Kylie. I didn't know who she was.
You don't keep up in the cosmetic world.
I know Kim Kardashian.
Right.
I can
okay.
pick her out of a
the
lineup. Kylie,
world,
I'm not so sure about.
She's made a...
Okay.
I mean,
right.
I really think she has more net worth than Kim. But I'd have to check it out.
No, it seems like everything Kim touches turns to gold.
This one has built the business.
Okay, well,
but we'll have to get back to you on that.
Please.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm all about Kim. You're all about the brother. Okay.
I like the brother.
Yeah, Hazel's. She says I'm
Hazel
with mom
says,
on
do
this
they have
one.
a dog I can
Do they have a dog,
talk to?
Hazel?
I don't know. I haven't watched the show in a long time.
I think she wants a TREAT.
No, it's okay.
Not yet?
Anyway, she's doing okay.
All right. Let's go to an email question from Jacob from Toronto. Ernestine, whenever you mention your friend Francesca, you always first say, my best friend Francesca. Why do you think you do that, Ernestine?
She's my best friend. So it's always in my head, she's my best friend. I don't know. My best friend Francesca. It kind of just comes out, it's like a tagline.
Okay, a little behind the scenes. update for you.
Yeah.
This one, after I cautioned her, warned her not to read her comments, she does read comments too much on her Instagram.
I only read them occasionally to see if there's somebody from my past that pops up that I haven't thought of or spoken to in years. And occasionally I get ex-friends.
They get under her skin because they're going to get in your psyche and finally into your soul and eat you alive. And so you're a little offended by this question, like, well, she is my best friend. Okay. So don't take it that seriously.
I'm not taking it that seriously.
She is your best friend.
I'm still going to say my best friend Francesca.
Yeah, and you truly love her like a sister.
Yeah, we're like Lucy and Ethel.
Yeah, they are Lucy and Ethel. If you know that reference, that's spot on.
She's one of, I have my sister Joyce, and then there's Francesca. So it's like, and she always thinks of us as her.
They're 1 and 1A. It's real close.
Yeah.
And maybe it's 1 to 1.
Yeah, but we definitely, and Francesca thinks of me and Joyce as her sisters.
Yeah.
So we're just very close.
And it's real. It's not fake.
We talk every single day, if not, especially on the weekends. I mean, because she works as a doctor during the week. So when I'm from home, we talk on the weekends. We could just talk for 10 times a day, but we text all day.
And probably Francesca knows more about me than I know about myself because she tells her everything.
Yeah. So my best friend Francesca is my best friend.
Okay, so don't be defensive about it.
No,
Just
I'm
embrace
not defensive.
it.
I
It's
thought it was
because
funny.
she is truly your best friend.
I thought it was funny because it's a tagline. I always say that.
Okay, now let's go to sound_commission. This is a good one. I'm a dermatologist practicing in Los Angeles. Did you say that Francesca's
a dermatologist? Okay, so Francesca's got competition.
So sound_commission. I'm a dermatologist practicing in LA. I practiced in New York, and Ernestine is right. The Botox and plastics in New York are different and more subtle and not as aggressive as it is done out here in LA. In fact, in New York, we used to call the LA Hollywood style the quote-unquote mad dog appearance because it's too aggressive out here in LA. Ernestine is correct. It's a real thing. It's not an illusion what Ernestine is saying.
Thank you. It's
Bingo.
so true. Okay. I just had this conversation with Francesca, my best friend Francesca, over the weekend. We were talking about that. And my sister, Joyce, and I were talking about that the other day, how it's just so... Yesterday, I went to the nail place, right, to get a manicure. And this girl walks in, and I had to say to the girl who does my nails, she does my nails every week, and we're kind of friends. I said, look at her butt. I'd never seen a butt that big and a boob job that big. So she had the big boobs, and then her waist is smaller because in proportion, I mean, you look like you have a tiny waist. Even if you didn't have a tiny waist, but if you put big boobs in a big butt, then your waist gets really small. And she's wearing leggings, and she has no qualms about wearing leggings with her butt. It's like that. And I said to the girl, my whole life I exercised to try to get no butt. And now these girls want to have a butt. And the boobs were big. And she had the long extensions that her extensions were down to her waist. And of course they were fake. They weren't real. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, she thinks that's normal. And it's not normal.
Well, she thinks it's hot because her guy or guys.
Well, her
think
guy
that's
was
hot.
there, and he was much older
really?
than her.
Wow.
He was much older than her.
How old would you say he was and she?
She was probably in her 40s, early 40s, and he was probably in his mid to late 70s.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. But the whole thing was just ridiculous. But that's the norm here. That is the norm. I'm not the norm. I don't have that, and that's what is the craziness about it. That the abnormal becomes the normal living around Beverly Hills.
Okay.
And I think Miami.
What do they call Hollywood? They call it Tinsel Town because it's not real. Everything is on celluloid. It's all
people here, you don't spend as much time as I do in Beverly Hills because I go there to meet my sister for lunch, or I go there for my doctors or my nail or my hair or whatever I go for. It's just a world that is just, like my sister called me the other day. She said she was out at lunch and she said, oh, you know those two twins that we always see? So there's two sisters. They walk on, Bedford is the street that all the plastic surgery is on. They must work at a doctor there, but they're like twins. So they're both tall, blonde, with fake extensions, and they wear mini skirts up to their butt and above, with like 5-inch platforms, with a boob job, with a big, they both wear the same outfits. And my sister said she was out at lunch and she was returning, she was going back to her building, and she said, oh God, I just passed those twins. The guys are falling in the street over them. I said to my sister, who can't find a normal guy out here, the guys that look at those girls are not the normal guys. Those guys are looking for they're low-life guys, because anybody that thinks that's a hot look, beyond just it's a showstopper because you walk out and you see some girl with giant boobs and a butt and legs and hair, and of course you're going to turn around and look, but it's not real life. That's not, you don't wake up looking like that in the morning.
But some of that is hot, but
Well,
what happens
not hot
is
for
it goes
maybe for
over
a
the
guy
edge
that's
into
trash.
funhouse mirror, you know, where you're looking at it, it's ludicrous. It's so exaggerated because they've lost all concept.
Right, but that's
They've
the
taken
abnormal.
something that could be pretty hot looking and taken it
But that
over
doesn't
the cliff.
stay. I hate to disillusion you or guys that think that's hot. When you wake up in the morning, unless you've had all that plastic surgery and all that, but then it slowly starts to fall. You have to keep getting more
That's the
plastic
point.
surgery on top of more plastic surgery to keep it going. So when you wake up in the morning, most women who care about their skin don't sleep with makeup on because makeup clogs pores. So you're not going to go to sleep with a full face of makeup, 3 sets of lashes. You don't wake up looking like that. So you have to be real if you are with a guy at some point, or a girl, whoever kind of sex you like. You're not going to look like that way. So that's the
Okay.
falseness of it all. You could
Okay.
look like that for a half an hour to an hour to a couple of hours a day, but then you go home, you have to take off the 5-inch heels and you have to take off the makeup and eventually the extensions. I've had extensions. You wake up and there's one on your pillow and you realize, oh God, that's not my real hair. Because when I had extensions, I thought, oh, everybody would say to me, your hair looks so great. And I thought, wow, my hair looks really good. You believe it's your hair until...
You had extensions for about 15 minutes when I got...
No, I had extensions for like 2 years, and
You
I was
did?
really good with them. Yeah, when I was under
I
a
thought
lot
you
of...
just,
No.
when we went to the Emmys...
No, those were clip-on extensions. I
Oh.
had real extensions that they weave in your hair. I went for about 2 years. I used to go to Warren Trachomey, and they would put it in, and first of all, it was like
Did I know
$5,000. You were the one, you said, hey, if you want to get extensions, I'll pay for them. I said, yeah, sure,
I don't
okay.
think you went for 2
Yes,
years.
I went for 2 years, yes. When my mother was sick and my hair was getting thin, I went to my hair guy and he said, well, you want to do extensions? I said, yeah. They would get the hair from virgin nuns in Italy, which was the best hair.
Virgin nuns?
Yeah, because they don't dye their hair.
Oh,
and their hair is the best quality. So if you want really good hair, you buy them by the bundles, and it's like $500 a bundle, and you need at least 10 bundles in your hair to make it look real. So I'd have all this hair.
Wait, that much money?
Of course. Yeah, that's how much it was.
Like
yeah. 5,000. No, it was like $5,000. Anyway, but I was really good because some women, they don't take care of their extensions, but I was really good. I never, you can't really wash your hair because you have them, you can just rinse your hair and you put soap in it, but you can't really get your hands in there. I went for months without them falling off. And then one day you wake up and it's on your pillow and then you realize, wait, this is not my hair.
No.
And so all that fakeness is just fake. And then finally, when I got to the point after a couple of years, I didn't want them anymore. I went back to the girl at the salon. I said, cut them out, take them out. And she kept telling me, oh, it's not going to ruin your hair. Yeah, when they take them out of your hair, because they're heat sealing onto your hair, take them out. My hair was thinner than I'd ever seen before. My hair was so thin, I looked in the mirror. It was horrible. I said to her, cut my hair. She cut my hair in a pixie cut, and I had a baseball cap with me. I'll never forget. I put the baseball cap on. I walked out. The cap was too big on my hair because I had no hair left. And I would never do real extensions again. I would do a clip-on extension. Those you just clip in and clip out. But these girls, I see them. Their hair, you could see where the line is, and you can't run your hand through your hair. And God forbid a guy puts his hand through your hair. It gets caught because you have all of that. That's all the fakeness, the fake world. So I got tired of all that. And that's why I never do extensions like that. And that's why the Bedford Street, it's all an illusion.
It is. That was a great speech you
Thank
just gave.
I don't know, it's the
And
truth.
you look pretty today, very
thank
pretty.
you. Oh, once in
And
a
your
while.
hair looks really
Right.
good.
Well,
and it's
my
real.
hair, finally, it's trying to get healthy again after that girl flat ironed my hair and she burned my hair on Bedford Street. That street is the kiss of death in Beverly Hills.
It is. So again, it's all about making movies here and making images. It's not real.
Yeah, but it's not real. When you go to the movies and the lights go down, that's the whole, the wonderful thing.
You can do 49 takes to get a scene right.
Yeah.
And so when you see it up on the silver screen, you think, oh,
effortless.
He or she is great. That was effortless.
But you actually,
and it took 49 tries to get
it. When I was living in New York and Sex and the City was out, and I worked in the largest PR agency in the world, and these women, they wanted to dress like Carrie. Sarah Jessica Parker is not Carrie, and they would walk around with these high heels.
A lot of people think you look like.
Well, yeah,
Sarah
I got
Jessica
mistaken
Parker.
for her a lot because my hair is wavy when I don't blow it out, and they would walk in the street with these high heels and the flowers on their lapel, thinking they're Carrie. And I read an interview with Sarah Jessica Parker that said, she goes, I'm not Carrie, I'm Sarah. People confuse that that's really me. That's not me, but people start to believe these actors really are those parts they play.
Okay.
And that's the fantasy.
Clearly, L.A. much faker than New York. New York much realer but harsher to me than L.A. It's just like hard real.
I think a lot of people that live here could never live in New York.
No.
It's too tough of a town.
It's tough.
You know, so anyway, that's my
can wear
plastic
on
surgery story.
Okay. And speaking of that, let's do one more on this subject. This is just AGG. My wife did Botox and fillers until one visit of fillers deformed one of her cheeks.
That
Been
happens,
there,
but
done
they can
that.
undo the filler.
I always told her to stay natural like myself.
Aww.
I love her so much just the way we are as we grow older.
That's so sweet.
On a side note, I was shocked to see young college-aged men at the clinic getting the filler. WTF, says Just AG.
Talk to my friend, my best friend, Francesca, and she will tell you, these girls come in, they want Botox, they want filler. They come in with their mothers because their mothers are more obsessed with making their daughters look perfect.
Okay.
They come at 15 years old. You're going to start putting filler? And now...
we're going to comment on Friends and Neighbors, the John Hamm series that just ended with its final episode.
Right.
Well, it's all about that, right? It's that town. It's called Westmont. Is it?
It's Westchester.
Yeah, it's
up.
Is that fictional, Westmont?
I think it's fictional. I don't think it's like about a half an hour from New York City.
Yeah. Okay, but those are the
those
types
are the moms
who visit
that take their kids.
Yeah, they do.
Here in Beverly Hills too. So.
Okay, so I have done some Botox fairly regularly.
Yeah, but you don't do a lot of Botox.
I don't do a lot. I just do a little bit around my crow's feet.
Eyes. That's it.
But I tried fillers for a while, and when we first got out to LA,
you're very thin.
I'm gaunt because I run too much, do too much
you don't
cardio.
have a lot of skin on your face.
But the point is, we started going to a woman here who was a friend of Francesca's, and she wasn't.
Oh, well, wait a second.
Really?
This is the funniest. When you go to this dermatologist's office, and she's very well known, she does a lot of stars. And on the sheet, when you fill it out, I had to laugh because I told Francesca, my best friend, what the sheet said. It said, how do you want to look? You know, what's your look that you're going for? And there's a box that you can check off. It says frozen. So for all those like when you look at the anchors, the news anchors,
frozen.
They're frozen. There's not a line on their face. So
some movie starlets are frozen.
They check off the frozen box.
Yeah, okay.
You don't want to be frozen.
I didn't want to be frozen, but I wanted a little fuller cheeks.
Well, because your cheeks get very gaunt. You have high cheekbones.
Okay, so I was trying the filler. Not pleasant to get it put in because it is.
Plus also sometimes
relentlessly
it lumps up.
Painful. And mine, we were just out here for a few months, and all of a sudden I lumped up in my cheek, and it looked ridiculous.
Yeah, it gets puffy and lumpy, and then you got to go back, and they have to
I had to go
dissolve
back, and they
it.
had to use some. It's actual poison. It's like
it's a saline solution. They dissolve
but it's
it.
What's the name of it?
They don't use poison in your face.
No, well, it's something acid. It's acidic.
Yeah.
Okay, but they have to go in and dissolve.
Yeah, they have to do it again. They have to undo it, so it has to dissolve.
Yeah.
Well, you could dissolve it. Depends on the stuff.
Then I had to take a round of anti-inflammatories. It's a mess.
Yeah.
And that was the end of my.
Yeah.
I don't do any more fillers. They're
no more for you.
They're dangerous, and then the more we looked into it and talked to other dermatologists about it, it's dangerous because if they make one false move.
Well, you got to go to somebody who knows what they're doing.
Yeah. I mean, you can do huge damage.
These Botox parties that show up all over the place, or these little clinics that pop up, and you can go in there and they're less money than if you went to a dermatologist. I wouldn't let anybody. This is your face. It's terrible.
Okay, so the other day you accompanied your sister as her nurse.
Yes.
As she went to have a tooth
extracted.
Yikes.
Yeah. She had a gum issue, and so
she dreaded it for weeks. You dreaded it with her months, and you do the same thing. And it led to a discussion that you two had as you were waiting to get her tooth extracted in the dentist's office about the fear factor that you both have deep inside you that you can't defeat.
Yeah.
So unburden yourself.
Well, we didn't have it at the dentist's office.
Okay.
At the dentist's office, he was really nice. He was a great dentist, and he was funny, and we talked for like a half an hour just telling us stories about when he was in Vegas, when he was young, and blah, 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 but whatever. But then after, I said to her, it's so weird. I have such a fear factor that if I could change one thing about me, I would change how I'm always afraid of things. Like, I don't know, and Joyce, my sister, has the same exact thing, and so does my best friend, Francesca. So the three of us have this fear thing. It's just this fear of... I think it has to do, although I think it started way before, when my mother got sick, and then my mother didn't make it, and then my father got sick way before my mother, and he didn't make it. But my father, to me, was always like, you know, larger than life, and nothing could ever happen to my father. And then when something happened to my father, that was like the first shake. So then you think, okay, if something can happen to him, then anything can happen anytime, anywhere. Because before that, you don't think about it. I didn't think about it, and neither did my sister. Then when my mother, who was going to live forever, my mother was going to live forever, and I would say that to her. I said, Ma, you're going to live forever. She'd say, no, I'm not going to live forever, and you're going to keep going on just like I did without my mother. But we would just be like, no, that's never going to happen. And then my sister and I, even to this day, sometimes she'll call me and she'll say, how are we going on without Mommy? I'm like, I don't know. But the fear factor is something is going to happen. It's always like with my sister's tooth, even though, so they took her in, and then I took a walk. I said, how long is it going to be? They said 45 minutes. And then the woman said to me at the front, she said, why don't you give me your phone number so in case, you know, I'll call you when she's done. And then I thought, well, I'll go get a yogurt in the meantime. So I'm walking around, I'm thinking, oh God, I hope I don't get a phone call. Because what if, like, I said to her before, she was so nervous. I said, Joyce, don't have a heart attack. I mean, what are you going to do? Have a heart attack in the dentist's office? I said, you got to pull it together. And then I'm thinking, if she calls me and says, I'm sorry, I already had the headline of like the New York Post. Woman dies in just having an extraction because she had a heart attack. Like that, I can go there. It's very Woody Allen, but I go there.
It's Woody Allen.
And my sister, like the other day, my sister tried to call me, and I don't know, I didn't have my cell phone. I was undoing groceries or something. And then she finally calls me, and I see it. I said, hi. She goes, where were you? What? I've been calling you. Oh, my God. And she's crying. I said, Joyce, what's the matter? I was so upset. I thought, you know, you always say sometimes you this, that. I don't know what happened to you. There you go. So this fear factor of always fearful of something bad, I don't know. You don't have that.
I don't have that. I have your basic human day-to-day fears of this and that, but you fear dying, and I don't fear dying. And it boils down to, I believe things spiritually that you don't quite hang on to the way I do.
No, we don't have the same beliefs like that. But
because I believe in an afterlife, and I believe in a God's plan, and I am trying with all my might to follow God's plan, and sometimes it gets hazy, and sometimes it gets rocky, but I pray the right way, which is, you know, don't push me over the cliff, you know, be there for me, and God has always been there for me.
But
so why should I fear?
You don't have a fear. If you have to go to a doctor for some crazy thing, you just go. If I have to go to a doctor, I'll cancel the appointment, then I'll reschedule the appointment. I do it all the time. And then my sister's the same way, and Francesca, she doesn't do it as much because she's a doctor, so she kind of knows more about that. But I don't know. It's not always about just dying. It's just about anything. I'm just afraid of things. Even though I lived in New York City and I'm the toughest person that can walk, and I'm not afraid of walking in Times Square at 3 in the morning and by myself. But the other stuff, it's like I don't know. I'm a very control freak too. So maybe that's it. The control freak part of it takes over.
And you are a Woody Allen hypochondriac.
No, I'm not as hypochondriac as you make me out to be. No way. I'm not as hypochondriac.
I have a sore throat. I'm going to die.
No.
I have a sore throat. I have COVID. No, you don't.
No, that's not true. You are the hypochondriac. Every day there's something wrong with you.
Okay, but that's overuse injuries.
Oh, so that's okay.
My knee is bad.
Okay, and then I have to hear,
okay, but they're self-inflicted.
Oh, my back is bad.
They're self-inflicted.
So it's self-inflicted, but you're still having something. I know I'm going to need another knee. I'm going to have an operation. I go to you, you don't need a knee operation. Oh yeah, I know it already.
Okay, but that's not hypochondria. That's like.
But then it's not real.
Giving in
but then it's not
what
real.
I inflicted upon myself.
No, but you make up the stories so much that you start believing, my back is so bad. Oh my God, I know I'm gonna need a back op. I'm like, you don't need a back operation. We go to the doctor. He's like, you don't need a back operation. I told you don't. Well, I don't know. I was just thinking.
Maybe I'm trying to unjinx myself.
Anyway, I got more of a fear factor than you, but it's okay.
So. The other night, we were prepping for this show.
Yeah.
It's fairly late.
We're off the fear factor thing. Okay, we're done.
Do you want to do more?
No, wrap it up.
Well, do you have more you want to say? You're welcome to. I think we did it and we got it to its lowest common denominator, which is...
There's no help.
No, it's just spiritual. It's what do you believe in God? Do you believe in God's... protection or plan? It may not be a protected plan.
Right.
It may be awful, but it's what's supposed to happen.
Right.
Okay, so that's what I believe in.
All right.
And that's why we're different.
Okay.
And I wish you believed what I believed, but I can't change you. I've tried.
Okay,
and
back
failed.
to now we're back to
back on schedule. So we're preparing for the show the other night, and I'm sitting at my computer, you're sitting over on the bed. We're going back and forth, and I am listening to a baseball game being played by my alma mater, Vanderbilt, against, of all teams, Louisville. And I'm simply, I had it on ESPN Plus, and I just put it down at the bottom of the screen, so I'm only listening. I can't watch it.
Right.
It's been minimalized down to the bottom. And so I'm only listening to the play-by-play, and I'm also listening to you, and we're going back and forth, and you're getting more and more irritated that I won't turn off the game.
Delay. I'm talking to you, and you're like, oh, God. I go, what's the matter? Would you believe that?
Okay.
Strikeout. I mean, really.
Okay.
And I'm trying to talk to you about the show, and you're just like,
okay.
Jeez.
And I tried to explain my school, which is
the whole
okay, no, you don't get it. My school is the only Ivy League style school, quality school in the whole Southeastern Conference. What's it got, like 16 teams?
Okay.
Only one school is a real school.
Right.
And my school actually competes and holds its own in all the sports.
But I said to you, why don't you watch your game?
Okay, but
we could do this later.
In baseball, we got hot late, and all of a sudden we wind up the #1 overall seed in the nation in the college postseason baseball tournament, the NCAAs, the road to Omaha, and we're at home with arguably, what's supposed to be the weakest regional, competition of all. You should dominate the first round.
Okay.
And we almost lost to Wright State on Friday, and then Saturday night we're losing to Louisville. We can't. This is abominable.
You're
this is devastating.
The point of what
okay, well, I was only listening to it, and we were doing fine.
But do you know how distracting it is when somebody is listening?
Okay,
you're
but
listening.
you got to give me a little break because we're losing to Louisville. I can't turn that off.
I know, but then I'm saying to you, you know what? I was thinking about this, and you go, I go, what?
We struck out again. We
out.
popped out
we
again.
Struck out.
We grounded out again. We grounded into a double play again with runners in scoring position.
Distracting.
You got to give me a little break.
You think that's normal?
Well, I thought I was doing a great job of
watching your game,
of juggling.
What? But you're watching the game. You're listening to the game, and at the same time, I'm talking to you, and it's just like going past you. Oh gosh. Oh God.
Were we not accomplishing what we needed to accomplish?
Yes. After you lost.
And then what happened on Sunday? We lost again to Wright State.
I can't control it, and neither can you.
We were the first #1 overall seed in the 26 years they've had this system in place. We didn't even get to the final game of our own regional. We were out before the final game.
You can't control that.
Well,
And neither can I.
I can't control it, but it's still devastating.
But you act as though like you have the control. Oh my
Okay,
God.
but you don't listen to my podcast,
No,
and I did a whole big rah-rah bandwagon driving crazy backflip on my show about my school being the #1 overall seed in America.
But it doesn't matter because
and I look like a fool. And I think I helped contribute to their downfall because I amped up the pressure on them.
You don't look like a fool. As long as I've known you, I've said the same exact thing. You cannot control the basketball game, the baseball game, the football game, golf that you watch.
You can control that you're smart enough to pick 4 against that team.
No, you can't. Only if you were some psychic could you tell.
I'm a psycho. I'm not a psychic.
That, yeah. Okay. All right.
All right. Next question is from Todd Rangers, maybe a Texas Rangers fan. I don't know. Ernestine, what do you really think about the hatred Skip puts out towards athletes? I didn't put any hatred out toward my Vanderbilt Commodores.
Maybe you should have.
Maybe I should have.
Now you should. If they lost, then they're terrible.
No.
I don't agree with the hatred thing. I don't agree. I always think somebody could have a bad game. Somebody has
You don't agree with my hatred
with your hatred toward whoever it is. I don't hate those guys. You know.
Neither do I.
No, but
I just tell the
talk
truth
about them.
Okay, and that's somehow it translates to fans like I'm hating. Well, I'm just truth-telling.
Right, but do you like the guys?
Well, like my #1 target is LeBron James. I like him personally. I do. I think he's a good guy.
I don't have a
think he's
problem
too
with LeBron.
nice of a guy.
I think he's a really nice guy. And I
don't think he's all he's cracked up to be, but that's all I
don't know. I don't think anybody is all that what people see unless you live with somebody. Do you know the real truth? But I think sometimes you get too hard on them.
Okay, like Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, like
shooting
Russell
bricks,
Westbrook.
and his
I
wife
Russell
got mad at me
when he was in Oklahoma City with Kevin Durant. I used to watch him back then, and I still think that he's a good player.
So he came out here to the Lakers, and I started calling him Westbrook again because he shot for the whole season 29.8% from 3. It was the worst shooting percentage in the entire NBA from 3.
He's gone downhill. He doesn't play as well as he used to.
He's always shot poorly.
It doesn't make him a bad guy.
I didn't say he was a bad guy, although he can be egomaniacal solo act.
Well, I guess all those guys can be that way.
Okay, my job is just to tell the truth about people.
You have to tell the truth.
And if it comes across as hating,
right. Well, so
that's who I'm going to be because I do tell the truth.
You do.
And I back it up with facts. Do. Okay?
Okay. So then you could go on
saying
whatever you want.
Like Anthony Edwards, Ant-Man, every other commercial. And I was last year calling him Can't-Man because in the biggest moments, in the biggest games, he just fades and disappears. And I predicted he'd do it against the Thunder this year. And right on schedule, they were out in 5 games because Can't-Man couldn't. Okay? That was just truth-telling.
No,
I was prescient. I was ahead of the curve, as I often have been.
Well, that's your job. It's not my job, so I can't.
It's a gift.
That's
if you
your
want to know the
job
truth.
to do that. And that's why you are who you are.
All right. Then Showtime-JB3, who's a frequent commentator on our show, about our show.
Oh, contributor.
Yeah, contributor, yeah. Says, Skip and Ernestine, which sports figure would you not let into your house for dinner and why?
Well, the first one that comes to mind, probably the only one, would be Charles Barkley.
Touche,
because I've had
agreed.
enough of Barkley over the years of saying horrible, terrible things.
She doesn't like Barkley either.
She hates Barkley too.
She knows.
So I don't think I would have Barkley here for dinner. Not that he would want to come, but I don't think he would be on my guest list.
Yeah, we went through 15 years of
done
Charles
some
Barkley going on shows,
saying crummy things,
on talk shows, on back in the day of David Letterman and Jay Leno, and using the K word. I would like to kill Skip Bayless. Radio shows, kill.
Yeah, not good. So,
and she and her mom started to think, well, if he puts that subliminal message out there, maybe some nut will say, I am going to kill Skip Bayless because Charles Barkley told me to.
My fear factor comes in.
Well, okay.
But he would definitely be not on my, let's have him over for dinner.
It got so bad for her and her mom that I even went to my superiors back in my ESPN days and had them contact Charles's superiors at TNT just to say, hey, cease and desist.
Oh, this
Criticize
is
all you want,
crazy.
but no
I don't
K
know
word.
what his problem is. He's got issues, but I don't want to bring him up again, but he would be the only person there's nobody else that I would think they don't have to, they could come over. Whoever wants to come over can come over. I'd love LeBron to come over.
You're welcome.
Well,
She'll cook. She doesn't cook.
I'll make a
she would cook
tuna
for
sandwich.
You. She'll make a tuna sandwich for you.
Or pasta and that's all I can make.
You know, I don't like what Russell Westbrook is made of. And I know he plays harder than anybody, and all of his peers are in awe of him because he plays so hard, but
I don't know him as a person. See, that's the
he's high
thing.
turnover, low percentage
But as a
shooter.
person, he could be nice. He could be an okay guy. You know, he could be a good family man.
The irony is, I'm from Oklahoma City, born and raised,
right.
And now he's become a major domo in Oklahoma City in their continued growth. They've got all these new plans for downtown growth, and he's one of the big advisors.
So maybe he is okay. So I think we should let him come over for dinner.
Okay, you're welcome to. We'll have LeBron and Russell Westbrook over for dinner. And we will then include Draymond Green, who I don't really care for because he has blasted me so many times.
Yeah,
I've invited him repeatedly to come on my show, and let's just talk it out. You can, Draymond, have as much time as you want. He's very well spoken. He's very basketball smart.
He could come over too, but
yeah,
he's not going to get as much food as the other people.
No?
No.
Okay.
We'll have to limit
But you're
his
invited,
food.
Draymond. Even though you said of my Oklahoma City Thunder about midseason, nobody fears the Oklahoma City Thunder. Do you fear them now? That's my question.
Oh,
and
me?
No, I'm asking Draymond. Where are you hiding, Draymond? Because I'd like to hear from you.
He's boning up on his new job as a sportscaster.
He's about to go full time.
Yeah.
He's a much better podcaster than he is a basketball player at this point. Okay. Please remember our new YouTube channel. We need to remind you it's youtube.com/@SkipVSErnestine. It's youtube.com/@Skip versus Ernestine, VS Ernestine.
Please subscribe.
Please subscribe.
It's free.
Please go there. Please watch. We appreciate all of your support. Couldn't do it without you. And that brings us to Connor from Brazil.
Oh, wow.
I wonder where he is in Brazil. Brasilia. Who asks a great question. If you two ever got divorced, who do you think the majority of your friends would pick? Another callback to a question last week when we discussed how difficult it is for us when our friends we socialize, couples we socialize with, split up.
Yeah.
Now what? Now what do we do? Do we stay friends with one and the other?
It's hard.
Or do we split with one or the other?
I think my best friend Francesca would come with me.
I do too. I think your sister would go with you.
Joyce would come with me.
Even though she loves me.
Although sometimes she would go with you. She'd probably not tell me, but she would still be your friend.
Maybe.
Yeah. And Francesca. Francesca loves you too. So
this is a tough one.
I think your friends would stay with you and my friends would stay with me.
I know, but we have some mutual friends where it would be a tough call. We know a couple, maybe 3 doctors.
Oh, yeah.
That we have kind of socialized with.
I think they would go with you. The men would go with you. They're all men. The men would stay with the men. I think that's
the men love her.
Yeah, but they are more loyal to you. You play golf with them. You have a different relationship. But that's okay. You could have them. I got a lot of other friends.
My lawyer friend, stay with me.
You.
Probably, but he loves you.
Yeah, but he loves me, but you're the friend.
Okay.
I think it'd be men go with the man, and the females come with me.
In general, even though my heart is better than her heart.
Yeah, right.
In general, she's the live wire, she's the dynamo, she's the spitfire that everybody gravitates to. I'm much more entertaining on air than I am off air. And she's at least as entertaining off air as she is on air.
Yeah.
So that's the split where these people love to go to dinner with her because she's going to light up the table.
Yeah, but the real friendship thing.
Yeah, it does
they'll
run.
Go with you.
It runs
They don't
deep.
say to me, "You want to play golf next week?"
You should take up golf.
Oh,
I wanted your mother wondered why.
My mother wanted me to, but I have no interest.
You used to putt with me, but you don't do it anymore. She's
well, that's because I don't
skilled.
go with you anymore. Because when I would go with you, and then I'd have to deal with you if you lose, it's not fun to be around you. So I finally realized I didn't have to do it anymore.
Well, I take it seriously.
Fine, go
Too
ahead.
seriously.
But I don't have to deal with it.
Okay. I don't take it as seriously anymore.
Oh,
and I don't play as well
All right. Well, now
anymore.
I'll go.
When you were with me, I played much better.
Oh,
That's true.
yeah.
No, that is true.
And then he'd play much better, but then he'd lose, and then he'd take it out on me.
Not really. I would never take
I
it out
got
on you.
marks on my leg to prove it.
I screwed that one hole up.
Yeah.
Lincoln Park
Read my
East,
book.
number 14.
Read my book. It's in the book.
13. It's in the book.
It's in the book.
Okay,
Anyway.
now for Skip and Ernestine go to the movies on the couch. The other night, we tried a movie you might or might not know called Drop. It got a pretty good theater run.
I think it's like number 3 on the...
I think it is.
It's on Netflix?
Yeah. We tried it mostly because it got pretty good reviews, and one reviewer even went so far as to call it Hitchcockian, and we love Alfred Hitchcock, who's way beyond anything that Drop could pull off. So it stars Megan Fahey, who we knew from Perfect Couple, with Nicole Kidman, Liev Schreiber, Dakota Fanning, and also Brandon Sklenar, who just took over Taylor Sheridan's 1923, which you watched one episode of and said, I'm out. The second season of it, and I watched the whole season. And it's not great, but he is. He's the only reason I watched it.
Yeah, he was good.
Okay, so Drop. What letter grade would you give Drop?
I'd give it a B minus.
B minus?
I was going to do C, but I'll do B minus. It was just kind of crazy, but it was kind of okay.
Were you not entertained?
Yeah, I was entertained. I had to hide my eyes in a couple of scenes. It was bloody. Yeah. But I thought it was going to be different than it really was.
How?
Didn't you? I don't want to give away the movie, but I just thought that it was going to be a different scenario. But it was entertaining. You could eat a couple of bags of popcorn watching it.
Maybe one.
Jiffy Pop on the stove.
I'm going to give it a real solid B because I must admit it stuck with me.
Really?
And I kept thinking about it for the next 48 hours, trying to analyze and reanalyze the plot because it had potential to be really good, and yet it relied on some insane, preposterous plot twists that were just absurd. Like, can't you do better than that?
But then I read that it was loosely based on a real life situation.
Yeah, but they took it somewhere because it's Hollywood that it didn't need to go. And yet she was good, and she was so good, she definitely stuck with me as the damsel in distress because she was in big distress
she was
the
very
whole way.
Believable. And he was good.
Yeah, and she was tough, and the action actually turned out to be pretty great.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was good. Okay, I mean, I'd stick with the B minus.
B minus, maybe come up to a B.
B.
Okay. My gauge with her is, did she doze off? She didn't doze off one time.
No, it was good. No.
And my gauge with me is, did I ever glance at my watch? Not one time.
No.
So
all right,
it's not great.
No, it's just a good
it's entertaining
summer movie.
And it was, in its own weird little way, it was thought-provoking.
Yeah.
About the dilemma that she faced. Would you kill your date to save your son at home?
Right.
That's the essence of the movie. Would you kill your date?
But then it gets, it's other stuff.
Okay, but, and then it gets, the plot is so preposterous and so convoluted that you just say, what? But I spent 48 more hours thinking it back through.
I never thought about it one more time.
Okay, well, that's why you're minus and I'm solid B,
that's why.
right?
But it's a good movie just to watch, a fun movie.
Okay, and we did watch the final episode of the first season of Friends and Neighbors starring John Hamm in the role of his life. And I know Mad Men, and we definitely know Landman,
right,
for which he was miscast.
I kind of discount that. I don't even think of him in that much.
In Landman?
Yeah.
I mean, he was just so wrong
he
for
wasn't
it.
Good,
and our friend Billy Bob just dominates.
Right. But in Mad Men, that was his role.
This is his role. He is this guy. He is this coop in Westmont.
He is great.
And some of the speeches in it are just captivating and piercing about...
Very real. The way you look at life.
The way you look at life. And his friend,
what people strive for in life.
His
is to get the
manager
big
has a
house
speech
and,
about materialism.
Yeah.
And you just keep, I can't even say I said it, but you just, pardon my French, but he says you keep buying more and more shit, and then you sit around thinking about what more shit can we buy, and we buy that shit, and then we're surrounded by shit, and we're still thinking of more shit to buy, right?
No, it's about striving
and his
to get
wife
the big
is
house,
pressuring
striving to
him,
get
and
the
they're
cars.
remodeling, and then they don't have enough money, and he's saying, where am I going to get the next nickel from?
Right.
And it's really great.
It's really good.
And
with underlying.
The last episode, was it the 9th of the year? I think it was the 9th.
I think so.
Had an amazing flip at the end.
Yeah.
A plot twist I did not see coming.
Did I. It's worth watching the whole series. It's really good.
It's just really good. It's
really
got
good.
a few detours into the sister plot, which I did not love as much as you did, but
I didn't love it, but they stuck it in there. But I guess they had to
you
fill it up with other stuff.
Flesh it out, fill it up, right?
But it's worth,
and
to me, it's as good as watching The Studio.
Yeah.
Studio for fun, and this is more
it's okay.
More serious. Everybody can relate to it.
It's been greenlit, obviously, for season 2.
Season.
We highly recommend Friends and Neighbors. If you start it, the plot-driving plot twist of what he chooses to do after he loses his job, won't give it away, but trust me, once you get into that, you're hooked.
Yeah.
Because you can't imagine him doing that.
And he's so good in this role.
God, he's great. He is that guy. He lives in Westmont.
Yeah.
And he's cool, and he's hot, and he's sexy, and he's middle-aged, crazy, but he has got it.
Yeah, it
right?
really is. It's so good.
And everybody is very good.
Yeah,
I'm not
Amanda
the biggest
Peet is
fan.
good,
I'm not the
but
biggest
she's
fan
good
of
in
her.
it. Olivia Munn is good
Olivia
in it.
Munn is really good.
There's just everybody is good in that show.
Oh, God.
The
Friends
writing.
and Neighbors. And I'm to the final episode of Mobland. I've not been able to see episode 10 just yet, but she ducked out on me from episode 1. And I actually, the other night, I got to the point where I was so captivated by the speeches Helen Mirren gives. I made her watch a speech, and it's hard to get to the speech because it's Paramount Plus, where it's got commercials embedded. So you can't fast forward.
No.
You have to watch a whole commercial,
they don't want you to miss
and then you can fast forward in the next section.
Right.
And I fast forward to a speech that Helen Mirren gives out in the Barns to the daughter of
Tom Hardy,
who's their fixer of the Harrigan mob clan. And it's just stunning. And then she gives another speech in episode 9 at the dinner table that is a mind blower. Helen Mirren is the driving force of this, playing a role that is completely against type. We watched her in the BBC production of Prime Suspect, which she also dominated as an investigator. What do they call them? They're P something, whatever, in Great Britain. But she was it, and now she plays the complete opposite. She is the gun moll. She is the matriarch of the Harrigan crime clan.
Right.
God, it's unbelievable. And it's killing me that I don't have anybody to watch it with because it's not that bloody.
Well, my bloody definition and your bloody
I know,
definition
but it wasn't
two different
that,
definitions.
But you can watch John Wick and they kill like 94 people and you think it's cartoonish.
That's a different kind of bloody.
Even though blood splatters everywhere.
This was too upsetting. But I love Tom Hardy.
Okay,
but...
it wasn't that bloody.
Okay.
Tell her. She reads all her comments. Just tell her it wasn't that bloody.
It wasn't that.
She'll see it all in the comments.
Right,
It wasn't that bloody.
Well,
maybe
you only got one episode left.
Maybe you'll watch episode 10 with me. I can catch you up.
Oh, I'm sure it's going to be a big blowout, bang up, bloody, gory thing. So
no, it's not.
Forget it. No. I'd rather watch House Hunters International.
Okay, this is Aaron_Chef. Okay. Skip, have you ever thought about growing a beard, or are you and maybe Ernestine too anti-facial hair?
I like beard. You look good with a beard. You look good when you have a 5 o'clock shadow. It looks really good on you. I've told you that before, but you're anti-hair on your face.
I just don't like it. Okay. I don't like the look of it. And sometimes I think that people with beards are hiding something. They're camouflaging.
You need a therapist. Seriously.
I need it. This is therapy without a therapist. No, so I don't. We're on the couch.
Please. It's somebody's hiding because they have a beard?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well,
It
don't
just
grow a beard so
struck
you
me
don't
that
have anything to hide.
I started thinking of people I know with beards. Maybe they're trying to
Oh my God.
be something they're
you
not, or
think
hide
too
something
much.
they are.
You really think too much.
I don't know. I've always considered myself clean cut, but maybe I got the wrong image of myself.
Maybe you have the wrong image of yourself. Maybe you need to.
Okay. And there was one vacation way before I knew you.
Yeah.
During which I think I had a 3-week vacation as a newspaper columnist that I took one summer. And for the first 2 weeks, I just let it grow. And it became scraggly, scratchy, itchy.
You're not going to like it, so you're going to hate everything about it.
It's just like, oh, what am I doing? And I had split with my girlfriend, and I went to LA just to see her, just to catch up with her. And I kept my beard. It just, I got there.
You're not a beard person.
I lasted one day in LA with a beard, and I shaved it, and I've never gone back to it. So, sorry, Aaron.
Okay.
Speaking of chefs, quick thought on my brother, who is a great chef and restaurateur in Chicago, having won the James Beard Awards for both chef and restaurant, which is quite an achievement for my little brother, 2 years younger than me. And we came out of that little 2-bedroom, 1-bath house on 43rd Street in Oklahoma City. And many people have written in, and we started to use many of your comments, but there were just too many. And it's the same old theme of, why don't you speak to your brother? Why aren't you close to your brother? And I try to explain, it's not publicly explicable. It's too deep.
It's too much stuff.
In some ways, it's too dark. Our childhood was hellish. And I've explained it before, and I don't even want to try again, because I can't convey to you the gravity of what we went through, not together, but in the same house, but separate. And we're just so different, but I love him.
Well, maybe one day you will talk to your brother.
I always, every time I pray, every single time I pray, as God is my witness, I pray for my brother in many ways, shapes, and forms. And I admire what he's accomplished. There's been a lot of sibling rivalry, which disgusts me and sort of turns me away from it, because I don't need it.
Everybody does.
Okay, whatever. But thank you for all your comments about it, and I'm working on it.
Yeah.
I am working on it, and he did call me during the LA fires, which was very nice of him to do. And I know he loves me, and I believe he knows I love him. And we will slowly but surely figure this out.
You will.
Okay. Now, the other night, you went from nurse to Joyce as she got her tooth extracted, and you came right home and shockingly had to become nurse to this one, little Hazel.
Hazel was having issues.
She was having, whoa,
Hazel,
God.
what do you got?
Well, she's showing you what her issues were.
Hazel.
Hey,
Here,
you okay?
You want some water?
You want some water?
Yeah.
That's a good girl.
Okay.
So I was lifting weights the other night, and in barges Ernestine to announce she's not eating, meaning
not me. Hazel.
She is not eating. She's 8 years old. She has never not eaten, and she would not eat.
Normally, that means something's wrong.
Well, sure.
When they don't eat.
Okay, so I went in and
Hazel's
I said,
drinking a lot of
okay,
water.
because sometimes she gravitates more to me, and she needs me to be there to say, okay, it's okay, time to eat. So we're both encouraged, okay, here, and I pick it up.
I opened up another different type of food.
She did a whole nother
I
can
opened
of
a
food.
different, I gave her turkey instead of the beef.
Yeah.
So maybe she didn't want the beef, I don't know.
A packet of food, they're not in
the
cans.
Caesars, she likes Caesar's dog food.
And I'm holding it up to her nose, like, here, you can start, just take a bite. And she'd already taken a couple of bites.
She did. She took a couple of bites of the initial beef.
And then all of a sudden, she's trying to tump over with her nose.
So we have the two dishes. It's on an elevated little thing, food and water.
The holder.
And then underneath, I have this thing. It's in the shape of a bone, and it's plastic, so it's a mat underneath her dog dishes. So she's taken her nose. She does this normally, and she goes under before she goes to eat. She kind of pretends like she's covering it, but then she eats it. But this time, she was doing it to the point where she wants to flip it over.
She's trying to flip the whole meal over.
The dish with the mat over. It was like, And I'm like, oh my God, if
What?
she flips it over, then I got to clean this up on the rug. And she kept trying to flip it. I never saw anything
So
like
I said, okay, I'm out.
Flipping it
I don't know
over
what
with
it
her
is.
paws.
She's not going to eat
Right.
tonight. I don't know why.
So then she keeps looking at me.
Okay, so I went back in and
Yeah.
kept lifting weights, and all of
Yeah.
a sudden the door opens again, and she says to me, come look at this.
Right.
This one had proceeded to go outside, out on the terrace where she pees and poops.
We have AstroTurf
Yes.
down.
And she upchucked the biggest bunch of throw up I have ever seen to come from such a little body.
It was the size of her.
It was the size of her. It was like,
a
foot
cow
long.
flop. If you ever spent time on a farm and you saw cows I spent time
Way
on a
to
farm.
go, Hazel. Way
It was
to
a
go.
giant
That's a good
cow
girl.
flop.
That's a very
And
good girl.
then
Thank you.
she's happy.
She did come back in and she said, oh, I don't think I'm quite finished. And she puked a little more.
She puked a little bit. I had to pick it up. Well, I had to pick up the stuff outside, and I picked up the stuff on the rug inside.
It was a lot of puke.
So I had all day long. I was still in my clothes from dealing with my sister. I was in my same clothes from staying at the dentist office with my sister. Then I came home and I wanted to take a shower. And I said to Skip, I want to take a shower. I never got to a shower until 8 o'clock at night because she was dealing with her stuff. And then after that, she kind of came alive and she was...
No, she came right back to normal. I mean, she was 100%.
Yeah.
And she was high energy the rest of the night.
Oh, yeah.
She decided, she was telling us she's going to just turn the food over.
In the
I can't eat it.
I'm Googling what does it mean when a dog tries to turn her dish over invisible. And they said that means the dog is nauseous and the dog does not want to eat. That's what they said. And I told you that, and that's exactly.
So her groomer had come during the day, and her groomer just gives her way too many, these bacon bones or whatever they are, bacon treats.
Or something.
You know, it's just too many. I think she gives her like 30 of them.
No, she doesn't.
Well, she doesn't. She comes in and she just
maybe she has one or two.
Laps up water because she's so
got so much salt. Yeah.
And I think she just.
Maybe she OD'd on bacon bits.
Yeah, and she just puked it all up, and she was great, and she was very happy.
Yeah, she was
that
happy
she
then.
got it out.
Yeah.
So way to go, Hazel. She's tough. Ernestine.
Right. I finally did get a shower about 8 o'clock.
And that is it for round 27. We will see you next week, if in fact we're still speaking.
We'll be speaking, and Hazel will be here also.
She's still speaking.
Peace out.